Hey y'all. Well, we made it to Friday. How was y'all's week? It's been a chaotic one here around the place with all the rain. Well, we got some here in East Texas, didn't we? Yeah, I believe a little over 9 inches. Clouds are coming together after a little sunshine today, and looks like it's going to do it again this evening. Got the goats out to pasture. They're probably up in that, close to that pear orchard. I seen them out here a while ago. Either that or down by the road again. We're getting them situated before another round hits. That old rain, what, 9 inches? Of course, everybody complains if it's cold, if it's hot, too much rain, too little rain. Guess the good Lord knows best if they heard that. Look at that. Like, they know what that sound means. I said, forget this grass. We got pellets. Y'all going to have to hold off a minute. We talking. Here comes JoJo. She's the old matriarch. She'll let me pet her every now and then. Maybe she's camera shy today. That's funny about the weather. We like to say we could do better. Of course, Dad was mentioning, I'd heard this before, but he brought it to mind again that weatherman's the only person that could do their job wrong about 80% of the time and still keep it. I don't reckon it'd be a good idea for any of us to run the weather. We sure ain't got a clue. Shoot, we can't even figure out what to have for dinner. Some of us these days having trouble with ginger. I guess different stroke for different folks, but if you need to know, go try to milk a bull. You'll figure out real quick the difference. But I guess we'll just let the good Lord handle the weather. He's been doing it longer and probably knows what he's doing. At least the tanks are full and groundwater recovering from last summer. It would be nice to spread it out, but again, we don't know what's best, so we'll just let him run it. I had a phone call from, I guess he's more of a brother to me than anything this morning. And he does well, got a good job, big family. Life's okay. Just having one of those days. I think we've all had them before. He was telling me he and his wife had went out of town and had scheduled some remodeling there in their home. And everything's on the up and up. Just the workers didn't get quite done what they needed to do while they were gone. So he returned to a house pretty much torn up. And he felt pretty bad about talking about it. And I understand that. He says, I don't mean to complain. I mean, because I've got a good life and got things that some folks don't have. But I ain't even got a microwave right now. And this is torn up and we're all out of sorts. I said, well, it's all right to be a little bit down about it and talk about it. He said, well, you understand. I said, yeah. And I told him something my papa used to say. He said, son, it's all right. You can complain, but if you're complaining without a solution, you're just flat out whining. So I told him that, and he chuckled. And he's fine. You know, everything's relative. We pass by a lot of people every day that on the outside it looks all good. Everything's great in their life. Facebook's the world's worst. You think somebody's living the dream when they're dying inside. And that's tough. Maybe we could be a little bit more sensitive about that. Kind of like the old boy sitting at the red light in his old pickup truck, looks over the brand new jacked up Chevy, Ford, whatever your preference is, mine's Chevy. He said, man, I sure would like to have a truck like that, a brand new truck. All the while there's an old boy on a bicycle waiting across the road, looking at the old truck the old boy's in. I said, man, it'd be nice to have a truck. Same time, old boy's sitting there on the park bench. All he can do is walk. He ain't even got a bike. He said, man, it'd be nice to have a bike. All this plays out as a young man from his apartment window looks out from a wheelchair. Says, wish I could walk. Isn't that funny? Each one of them not content in the lot they've been given. So I think we need to learn that, but also be sensitive to, you know, somebody that's used to a life of luxury, they lose electricity or something like that. And it's a train wreck. Well, it's real to them. It's relative. So it'd be good to be sensitive to folks like that. It takes a little bit of faith to get through this old life. I'm excited about the garden. I got more plants than I've got land, I'm afraid. I didn't think some of them old tomato seeds would germinate like they did. And Oh, Lord, I got a lot of plants. The problem is it's going to be hard to transplant all them little boogers because there's so many of them grown together. I was hoping that I could I just couldn't throw the seeds out. That just ain't proper for me. So I'm like, well, I'll just throw a bunch of them here in this dirt. They won't germinate, so I can justify throwing them out. Well, lo and behold, every one of them come up. And now I've got 200 plants and 18 whole egg cartons. So not all of them are going to survive, but once there's life in it, it's hard to kill it. Hey, sweetheart. Old Sissy's on patrol. We're getting a little drizzle out here. But hard to tell if, Bart, we've got the subscriber feature now for those that have taken advantage of it. Thank you all for that. It's a whopping $1 a month. I guess we'll keep doing what we're doing here, keep you up to date. But it's kind of fun, though. I'm able to post a little bit more content showing inside the house some of the growing things we got going on. We got baby chickens in the incubator from a good friend out in Laneville. They've got some pretty chickens, and excited about that. We're a couple of days into that journey, but we're doing daily updates on that. So if you want to click subscribe, that'd be cool. Might pay for a little goat feed along the way. Hopefully you get your money's worth out of it. But old Bart, he's living his best life in there, or so I guess. He's sure he can't see and he can't hear, but he can see a little light and little shadows. So if we're not careful, he'll get up on the couch and tear the blinds down trying to see the light out the window. So we've had to alter some routines in the house, keep certain doors closed, and he's got his favorite chair, and he's happy. But he's always looking for us when we come home. He can smell, and he knows he'll probably smell me good after a day of work, but he's sure looking for his peoples every day when we get here. But it reminded me of an old boy that went to the doctor, and he'd been diagnosed with a terminal disease. It was horrible, and getting down to the nitty-gritty, and he was counseling with the doctor. He said, "Sir," he said, "I know you're a Christian man. What's going to happen when I die?" And to his surprise, the doctor said, "You know what? I really don't know. I don't know." He said, "Wait a minute. How do you not know? You're a Christian, and you believe in God and afterlife." He said, "Yeah, I do." He said, "But I can't tell you for sure what's going to happen." About that time, the door busted open, and the old doctor's dog come bounding in, ran over to his master and was licking on him and letting him pet him, just excited to see him. And it hit the old doctor, and he looked at the man. He said, "It's my old dog, and he's been with me a long time, and we're good friends. He looks to me for everything." You saw how he busted through that door, didn't you? The patient said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, I think that's how it's going to be." He said, "We don't know what's on the other side." This dog didn't know what this room was or anything, but he knew his master was going to be there. So whatever it was, he knew his master would be there, and that made it okay. How about that? Thought that was a pretty good little old lesson about faith. Even times that things are a little hard on us. That's what we was talking about, my good friend and I. It might be a little small trial, it might be a big trial, but if you lived any length of time, you just kind of hunker down and try to get through the moment. A lot of folks hurting, but you'll just keep the faith. That too will pass. You've survived worse, but you still get the right to bellyache a little bit if you want to your good friends. Good to have close friends like that. I got to tell this one. This one cracked me up. Little old girl in school, in class, the teacher was talking about whales and mammals. The little girl got excited. She said, "Jonah got swallowed by a whale and came out a few days later." The teacher wasn't a real religious person and thought all that was a bunch of fairy tales. And she listened to the little girl. She said, "Well, baby, the thing about that is a whale, no matter how big it is, it's got a small throat and it can't swallow a human." She said, "Well, it's in the Bible and it happened." Well, they went back and forth for a few minutes there, and the little girl was resolute in her faith, as was the teacher in her thoughts of the fable. Well, they hit an impasse and they had to move on with the class. And the little girl said, "Well, when I get to heaven, I'm going to find Jonah and I'm going to ask him." And the teacher smirked. She said, "That's fine, but what if Jonah didn't make it to heaven? What if he went to the other place?" Little girl looked up and said, well, then you can ask him. Oh, the wisdom of a child. How about that? I guess one way or another, somebody's going to find out. But that little girl had faith. That's all right. Well, let me do a quick roll call. It's starting to really get raining. I've still got to put the goat pellets out. They've got an interior room and an exterior room, so I think they'll be dining in today with the room, or with the rain. I kind of looking forward to having a little time this weekend. We're still running as hard as we can, get these pools caught up. Between the freeze last week and rain this week, it's just been a tough go, but we'll get there. But I've been looking at this front pasture for a while. Those that have been following might remember DW. Poor old thing. He made some pretty babies, but good Lord, he was a nuisance. He wasn't no bother much to me and Jordan if you kept your distance and knew how to handle him, but there wasn't a fence I could build that would keep that poor old goat in. He'd tear down a wall, he'd tear down anything, and cause havoc with the neighbors, and police were involved all the time getting him off there. He'd be out in the middle of that road challenging cars and headbutting headlights, and just too much of a liability. But anyway, that prevented me from really expanding the goat pen back in the day, because it'd take thousands of dollars to build a wall, we know that, to keep him in it. But I don't even have to latch the gate with this bunch I've got now. So looking forward to, I've got the material pretty much just scrapped from around the place, and we're going to take all this in over the weekend, hopefully, and give them a little bit more room to run and graze. So looking forward to that. Well, let me look and see who all's on here, and I'll rattle. If you're watching from somewhere close or far, let me know, and we'll give you a shout out and call it an evening. And again, thanks to all the subscribers that have signed up. Really hesitant to do it in the past, but I'm glad I did, because now I'm doing 3 or 4 or 5 posts from inside the house, different things, talking about elderberries. And I got 400 elderberry plants in there, y'all. I don't even know how that happened. At least I don't have 400 cats, right? Got 2 of them. I think that's enough. All right, let me check off real quick. Hey, there's my buddy Brian Wade, good friend. He's checking in. Let me scroll back up. If I can see water getting on the screen. There's Miss Debbie down Central Texas way. How are you? Good to see you on. That's one of our subscribers. Thank you. I hope you're enjoying the content that we're putting up. Patricia saying howdy from up North Carolina way, I believe. There's Donna Wallace. Let's see. Clicked on that subscribe button. Can't express enough how God is using you to encourage me. Thank you. Well, thank you for your support. Again, I don't want to commercialize anything, y'all. I mean, I've been doing this 5 years, and I'm not trying to make any money off of it, but it did $1. I guess it's LaDonna Gatlin, dear friend. They used to help with some music business and speaking stuff. Of course, I do a lot of favors. That's just what we're supposed to do as neighbors. Just a little help along the way. But she said a workman's worth his hire. And she'd never let me really do anything for free. But I'm going to do me. But doing that $1 now, I'm obligated to make content. So we do a lot of stuff around the farm every day, but not really enough to get on and just live and talk. So if you're interested in the goings on behind the old house, that's how you find it. But I'm always happy to share any tips for free. Anything that I can help with. I don't know much, but what I do know, I'm glad to share. But anyway, that's enough about that. Let me move on. She got me sidetracked. Thank you, though. There's Miss Stephanie Brooks out at the lake. Hope she ain't drowning. Man, if I could find a drip. She hates that dripping noise. Maybe we're past that. We probably got some more cold weather, but maybe not that bad. Better hurry. It's pouring here. She said, well, that's out in Etoll. I still got blue skies, so I'm good for a minute. Destiny Edward. Got a good testimony there. It's a little long to read on here, but she's been giving a shout out to the good Lord on the healing. That's all right. Thank you, ma'am. Faith builder stuff is what that is. Again, there's my buddy Brian. Grace Honeycutt saying good evening. Cammy's saying, see, her and her husband Alan enjoy our videos. Not too far away, Lake Timpson. Yeah, that's just right up the road. Good to see y'all on here. I was up close to that way yesterday. That Angelina River is out of its banks. Whew, it's a lot of muddy water. Hey, Cade, all is good with the dogs. Sissy is, man, she is a sniffing thing. I'll tell you what. And she likes staying. The reason she's not leaving me is because she thinks I'm gonna sneak in that house without her, and she ain't having that. So she is not going 2 feet from me. Are you, baby? You're gonna get to go in. It's all right. These other two have kind of, the torch has passed, and Sissy and her brother Bo, who was only on here a brief time for tragedy got him on the road, but these other two are now the guardians at night. They've got their own little hidey holes, and they eat well, and unfortunately drag up everything from the neighbors. I've got toys, and Lord, had a deer pelt they dragged up from somebody the other day. Just a mess. But anyway, they take care of the place. Well, I'm rolling on too long tonight. There's Viola saying howdy. Howdy back to you. All right, that's enough for this evening. Thank y'all for checking in. Feel free to check out the subscribe option, and always open to suggestions or anything you'd like to see or hear, or backstories. Sometimes there's so many of them I forget to tell them, but they're happening every day, just like in your life. Celebrate them, embrace them, keep the faith, and be the light. Talk to y'all later.